Galimera, Galimera, Galimera. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Now, normally I would start my podcast from outside just to show you what the weather's like for today. But unfortunately, fool me, yesterday went out without charging or leaving anything on charge. That includes my phone, that includes my tablet, and therefore I'm running on minimal power at the moment on my tablet, which is plugged in, hence the reason that I'm doing the broadcast inside. Just thought I'd clear that up. Anyway, I just want to say thank you to the lovely Amanda last night. Fantastic night out. Last night of freedom, as it were. However, it's not as grim as what I thought it was going to be, and I'll get to that actually in our news. Just want to say thank you for last night. Also, we had a small earthquake last night. Amanda told me. I did some checking online. It was a 3.4, and it was on the seabed between Zakynthos and Kikilias. As far as I'm aware, there's been no damage. I didn't feel anything, but it was about 1:30 this morning. But thanks for that as well. we slept through it, basically. I know I slept through it. Anyway, Saturday's weather then today, it's going to be sunshine with some cloud, temperatures 25, but it'll feel like 28 degrees. And I know a lot of people in the UK will be envying us with those weather results. Anyway, she also says, have a great day. So once again, thank you. COVID in the last 24 hours, I'm afraid this podcast is going to be a bit COVID heavy, and we have also got some bad news for the island as well in regards to that as well. I'll come on to that in just a short while. But the stats for yesterday are as follows. We've had another record-breaking figure of infections across Greece. You might remember the day before we'd had 6,808. Well, today I can report that in the last 24 hours, it's been 6,909 new infections across the country. And that is now another record-breaking number. That brings a total amount of infections up to 774,265 since the pandemic started. And there's been 11 new cases identified in checks into the country. That was down on yesterday, where there had been 12 identified. Now, according to the national stats at the moment, cases in Macardo, they actually dropped slightly. 11 new cases reported there on 18 on the previous day. Just remind you that that island is in the green still. Cases in Corfu, they are 85 cases reported. They had 93 on the previous day. Now, they were in amber. They have now been put into red. So as of today, Corfu is now red. Also, cases in the prefecture of Kefalonia, they are still in amber. They had 13 new infections on their island, and they are still in amber at the moment. We in Zakynthos, we had 27 new cases, and that's the highest this week at the moment. We had 23 the previous day and 18 on the day before that. We were in red anyway, and we are still obviously staying in red. So that is the stats on the island at the moment and across the Ionian. Zakynthos, when it comes to deaths, we've had 48 new deaths across the country, and unfortunately we have also had a death here on Zakynthos as well through COVID. I'm just going to quickly scroll down to where I have that story, but it's best that I just inform you now that another citizen here on Zakynthos passed away from coronavirus. He was being treated at the University Hospital in Rio, which is in Patra. However, we don't know any more details about that. All that is known at the moment, and what they're saying in the press, was that the man was not vaccinated. He was diagnosed with coronavirus during his hospitalization. He contracted an infection inside the hospital, which aggravated his health condition. And again, we send our condolences to the family at this time. We know nothing about age or anything like that, whether he was old or whether he was young. Again, hopefully more information will be coming out. And that basically is a breaking story at the moment here on the island. So once again, that means that for the month of November, I can confirm that we have had one death here on the island. In total for 2021, we've had 13 deaths, including the gentleman that passed away. I know nothing of any deaths from August, where we had two, a 44-year-old man and a 77-year-old man as well. From September and October, whether there was any deaths in that period. But at the moment, going by my figures at the moment, we've had 13 deaths here on the island for 2021 through COVID. Just going back now to critical cases as well here across Greece at the moment. Just scrolling up to where that is. Critical cases, again, they're also up as well on yesterday across the country. People being hospitalised now at the moment, 450, that's 267 males, 183 females. They are in critical care. That means that they've actually on ventilators across the country. And if you remember, there's the magic 900 beds that are available to be able to treat people that need extra care, ventilating. At the moment, the number now stands at 431. In fact, it's the same number as, the number has gone up. Sorry, I'm going to rephrase that. It's 450, so the number has gone up. Regarding critical patients, that number is up as well. There's 378 of those who are unvaccinated or partially vaccinated, and 72 are fully vaccinated. So those are the people in the hospital, again under special treatment. And again, that number is up as well on the day before, where there were 363 and 68 people that were in special care. So again, those numbers are slowly creeping up. This is obviously of great concern to the Greek authorities at the moment. And obviously, this is one of the reasons why the new measures have been brought into effect this morning. So I'm going to quickly just go through the measures. As of 6 a.m. this morning, these measures came into force. They're the new restrictive measures. Last night, the decision on the new restrictive measures was published in what they call the Government Gazette. Everything, change of laws, always goes into this document. I've actually had a peruse through it as well, and I'm sort of going to give you probably a little bit more detail. So this might be, I'm hoping it's not going to sound long-winded, but I'm going to give you a bit more detail. Just to let you know that these extra measures at the moment are valid up until Monday, the 22nd of November. Obviously, they're going to then reevaluate how the situation is, see what the pandemic situation is, the epidemiology, and obviously make another decision as to where they're going to go next with it. But at the moment, specifically with the vaccination certificate, or as what I have now got, or is now classed as, and this is the wording, the way that it comes out in English, is called a disease certificate. Now, a disease certificate is basically saying that you've had the coronavirus, you've recovered from it. It doesn't necessarily say whether you've been vaccinated or not, but you've had the coronavirus, you've got over it, and obviously if you're not vaccinated, you would have another certificate to say you've been vaccinated, and it would null and void the disease certificate, which I have. Also, they say a negative coronavirus PCR or rapid test, diagnostic test, they will allow you access into banks, commercial stores, including shopping malls for those people who live in areas in Greece where they have those. Also discount villages as well, where in areas of Greece where they have those, as well as into shops, hairdressers, personal hygiene services, hair removal, ultraviolet light, infrared treatment, blah, 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 pedicure, manicure, and all of that, physical well-being, outdoor dining, amusement park services, zoos, and entertainment venues. So basically that's the broad brush across everything. You need now a vaccination certificate to get in there, a disease certificate, or a negative PCR or rapid test, okay, to be able to go into those. Now, for those people who cannot present any of those documentations, Click and collect has come back in again, or as the Greeks call it, click and away, where you can phone a shop, you can phone a business, place an order, and then obviously go and pay for it and collect it directly from their front door and pick it up outside, basically. Now, when we last had click and collect, you were only allowed to pay on a card. To do that, you couldn't pay in cash. That has not been cleared up. But anyway, shops will do what they'll do to take the money, whether they take a card or whether it will be cash. We'll see what transpires with that. Now, with regard to unvaccinated workers, both in public and private sector, in whatever position they are, they will be able to go to work with the obligation to perform 2 tests. So they need to now test twice a week, which they always did. Now, they can either have the rapid or molecular test. It doesn't matter. They're quite happy, but they must test twice a week. And also for public sector workers who work with a physical presence at a workplace, by November the 8th, they must have done their first 2 mandatory tests. So basically what they're saying, those people now by November the 8th, I'm trying to think what day that is, that's going to be Monday. So by Monday, you must have tested if you are a worker and have that first test. And that will probably be like for me, I used to test on a Sunday and I used to test on a Thursday. Obviously, probably a Monday and a Thursday if you have to have 2 tests a week. But anyway, that is as of today, 6 a.m. Also, cafes and restaurants, the rules for them at the moment, businesses licensed as cafes and restaurants provide indoor catering services, including stores inside galleries, etc., indoor malls and long distance stations. By that, they mean obviously the motorway, highway places. They will operate at 100% occupancy. So they're allowing 100% people to come in as only as pure spaces exclusively for fully vaccinated or latter. So therefore, if you have an indoor area, you're only allowed to have people again who have presented you with a vaccination certificate of disease or a PCR test before you're allowed inside those. And they're looking like they're allowing 100% occupancy in those locations at the moment. In companies that operate in open spaces, customers will enter after a mandatory presentation of a vaccination certificate, a disease certificate, or a certificate of negative competitive test or PCR rapid test, while minors from the age of 4 to 17 years of age can submit an alternative self-test. So basically now you're going to have to get your children from the age of 4 upwards, and they're going to have to self-test as well before they're allowed to go into restaurants, bars, cafes, and also into open areas as well, where there's the outside bar, the outside cafe as well. Now, what has been stated very emphatically by the authorities is that checks will be intensified. They noticed as well that they will become stricter with the competent authorities. They will impose fines on companies and individuals and are obliged to send the General Secretary of Commerce and Consumer Protection of the Ministry of Development and Investment. They will be also investigating as well. So in all words, it sounds like every man and his dog's going to be in businesses checking paper, not just checking the business, but checking you as an individual. So don't be too surprised you'll be asked to present a document or show something, basically to make sure that the venue that you're in is doing their job, all right, and checking people as they're going in and out. So again, it's going to be an extra hassle, it's going to be an extra hardship, but at least we're not locked down, which is the main thing. Anyway, when it comes to nightclubs, just out of curiosity, I had to look at this one. Nightclubs, including indoor banquet areas, music venues, and booths. Music booths? Do you have music booths? That's a new one on me. They will only function as pure open or closed venues exclusively for the fully vaccinated or those that have the disease certificate in the last 6 months. All right. Customers must present the vaccination certificate or the disease certificate upon arrival. Looks like I can still go to a club. Anyway, the talk about masks again, and can I just thank Lindsay yesterday for dropping me a little message about masks. Checking the government gazette, their policy on masks is as follows. I think this is a common sense approach, I've got to be honest. In all indoor areas, including workplaces, with the exception of those working in the private area without the presence of any other person, you will obviously wear masks, all right? So if you're in somewhere where there's no one else there, you can take your mask off. If there's people in there and you're working in close proximity, you leave your mask on. Now, when it comes to outdoor areas in the street, it's saying in all outdoor areas where congestion is observed. So in other words, if you're walking along the street and there's a big crowd of people around you, you're expected to put your mask on. Otherwise, if you're in an area where there is nobody about or anything else like that, you don't need to be wearing your mask. So again, a bit of common sense is being provided there. However, when it does come to exercise and things like that, nothing has been said about that in regard to finer detail on that. However, when it comes to who are excluded from wearing a mask, there is rules on that, and they're saying basically the following are excluded from the obligation to wear masks. Any person for whom the use of a mask is not indicated for medical reasons and demonstrates the appropriate documentation due to such respiratory problems like asthma, etc. As long as you have a piece of paper that says you're excluded for wearing a mask and you get stopped and checked, then obviously you can obviously present that. And also children under the age of 4, they are not expected to wear a mask, but children over the age of 4, it looks like they are expected to wear a mask. Now, the official gazette also provides observation on distances. They're also talking about distances between individuals, and they're talking about people keeping a distance of about 1.5 meters between each other as well. 1 person to 2 square meters indoors and outdoors, either pure or fully vaccinated and sick. Those people have got the certificate during the last 6 months, or mixed, where no larger area of persons is provided in the individual. So basically what they're saying is they're going to try and observe 1.5 to 2 meters per person in all areas. So again, it means that venues technically will have less space to allow people in. So 1 minute they're saying 100% occupancy, but that is in certain areas. And then in the others they're saying we're going to, conform to social distancing in other areas. So again, we'll just have to wait and see how this all works out, how it all plays out, and see if people follow it or not. And again, we shall wait and see. And as they say, we're in Greece, and we'll see what happens. Anyway, an interesting story that caught my eye this morning was the US pharmaceutical company Pfizer has announced to present the interim trial results of their new oral COVID drug, which is called Paxlovid. I think that's how you pronounce it, or Paxlovid, which is basically the US Ministry's regulator is going to apply this for emergency use. Now, the interim clinical trials have indicated that the drug cuts the risk of hospitalization or death by 89% in vulnerable adults. Now, Pfizer has specified that 3 tablets should be taken twice a day for 5 days as soon as symptoms arise in the target group of patients, which are those who are at high risk of severe disease. The drug is best given alongside a low dose of the antiviral pill called Ritonavir, which helps to extend its effectiveness life in the body. Anyway, Pfizer's chairman and CEO, Albert Bourla, said the pill had the potential to save patients' lives, reduce the severity of COVID infections, and eliminate up to 9 out of 10 hospitalizations. The announcement comes hot on the heels of the approval by the UK's medicines regulator for the first oral COVID drug, Molnupiravir, I think that's how you pronounce that, produced by the pharmaceutical company Merck. The drug, originally developed to treat flu, will be given twice a day and is aimed at vulnerable patients, and clinical trials showed that the drug cut the risk of hospitalization or death by about 50%. So it looks like there's some new pills on the way, but these are pills that are going to be basically given to people after they'd contracted it. And it sounds like pills to help people who are already suffering from the effects of COVID already. And then another interesting story that caught my eye, a lot of talk about the Chinese at the moment and what they're doing in the world, especially when it comes to climate change. But this is nothing to do with climate change. This is to do with workers working for the company, Cosco, over in Piraeus. Now, the workers at Piers 2 and 3 at the Piraeus Port, they called off a 48-hour strike, which was due to begin on Friday, but said they will resume mobilizations if Cosco Shipping does not keep up its end of the agreement. The president of the Union of the Piraeus Port Dock Container Workers, Marcus Berrius, said on Friday. Now, apart from an investigation into the cause of a recent labour accident that killed one of the union's members, the union has also demanded a health and safety committee, an end to back-to-back shifts, which is 2 full shifts with just 8 hours rest in between, and 12-hour shifts, and the signing of a collective labour agreement among them. Cosco Shipping has accepted doing away with the back-to-back shifts. They agreed with the creation of a health committee with workers' representatives in it, and accepted raising the number of employees on the shift from 4 to 5 to obviously make the job easier to do. And just for those that are curious like myself, Cosco is the Chinese ocean shipping company. Greece's parliament approved a new contract that allows the Chinese state-owned shipping giant Cosco to buy an additional 16% stake in the Piraeus Port Authority, taking its total share of ownership now to 67%. And to be honest, China has done a lot here in Greece. They turned the port around. You've got to give them that. But they're also very busy building the port and putting a lot of investment into it, because they're using Greece as a way of bringing their products into Europe. They've also been busy building railway lines here as well. And at some point, you never know, there might be a train journey from Greece all the way to Beijing on the cards at some point in the future. But at the moment, keep an eye on them, see what they're up to in these uneasy times at the moment. And again, with the was it COP26 or whatever they called it? What a waste of time that was, to be quite honest. We shall wait and see how the Chinese start playing today, or playing as they continue. Anyway, and finally, a bit of interesting and kind of happy news. Greece is going to be open for tourism all year round. Now, the tourism minister, Vassilis Kikilias, said in an interview with CNN that the International Tourism Fair Trade, the World Market in London, that the minister referred to the fact that Greece will be open for business in tourism all year round. Now, the minister referred to his contracts with tour operators, travel agents, airlines from Great Britain, the US, France, and the hard work being done in the tourism season in Greece in early March to April, stressing that 2022 will be a very good year for Greek tourism, and this will not happen by chance. Now, the ministry is working hard to win over every traveller, offering new experience, and at the same time promoting new destinations, more islands, small and large, the mainland and city breaks, he said. Now, concerning the lack of infrastructure in Pacific popular destinations, the minister said that Greece has a 320 million euros from a recovery and resilience fund to approve, and build a new one where it's needed. So it looks like, and we've said this all year round, that certain places could easily become an all year round destination. I'm looking at the weather out the window at the moment, and I'm telling you now, the weather's a lot better than what it is in the UK. And I think people would appreciate a different style of holiday for the winter. However, as I said before in the past, if we'd had the golf course built when it was first routed way back in 2005, when I first came to the island, we would have had a big impetus to have all year round tourism, because if you have a golf course on the island, people will come no matter what. So it will be interesting to see where this leads. Will we see an increase in the season? Because again, we're already having people arrive in March coming here, and in April before the season officially starts in May. So I have what I've named the pre-season, which is the build-up, where people are quite happy to come over. Businesses take the risk whether they open or not before the official opening on the 1st. But again, it's all to do with contracts. We have the pre-season, but contractually 1st of May with a lot of companies is like when the business starts for real, and it goes into the calendar of those big holiday companies for obviously the summer season, then into the winter season, etc. But again, for us to have a full season or a all year round season would radically change the way that the island operates, the way that business operates. You can't work like you work in a summer for the whole of the year. So again, it would create employment because more people would be required to work to be able to deliver the same level of service. So again, it's an open book for discussion as to whether we go from maybe a 6-month season to an 8-month season. If you look at it from the realms of the government, if you run to an 8-month season, basically run it from March through to November, it means then you've got less ICA to pay out, less ICA payments to give, and probably you could actually give higher ICA payments because there's more people working, there's more money coming in, and basically we have a shorter period of time off between the season before we start again. But again, these are all speculation, conjecture. If anybody's got any opinions on that, drop them in the comments below, and I'll be curious to see what you think about it. Would you like to see Zakynthos open officially from March right the way through until November? Or are you still just happy with the pre-season? You take a risk when you come over if things are open, if things are closed, and we have this sort of slow, steady start before things kick off in May. Put your comments down below. And Amanda has already written, be great if the island was open all year. Cheers for that, Amanda. Just having a quick look at some of the comments that are in and the people that are tuning in. Alan Woodhouse is watching in as well. Yvonne Murray is watching as well. Trees Around Huggett says, good morning, Ginge. Steve Hinkling over there in Stoke-on-Trent. Nice to see you looking in, mate. Also Liz Saunders. And I can't check on any, and Andrew the Fridge Watkins is tuning in as well because it keeps jumping back down once I start looking at the comments. Anyway, hopefully flights would be a steady price all year. That's a good point. I don't know who's actually said that, but that's a good point. It would make it, and also it'd probably make it easier to come backwards and forwards. But there was plans at one point to run special flights at Christmas from here, etc. They did do 1 year of that to see what the market was like. But to be honest, with COVID and the restrictions of last year, that blew all of those plans out of the water. So things like that didn't happen because of lockdown, etc., etc., etc. So again, we shall wait and see what happens. First of all we've got to see is what happens on the 22nd of November when these restrictions hopefully are lifted on us here living on Zakynthos and in Greece, and see if the government is going to ease up or going to clamp down even more. He emphatically said no lockdowns. I think everybody is in agreement. Lockdowns do not work at the moment. And if he goes into lockdowns, I think everybody will be bitterly disappointed. And so will many businesses be bitterly disappointed as well. Right. That's it from me. Just a quick reminder. Thank you to those people that tuned in last night to the Beats Dance Anthem show. I was able to see some of the comments, but unfortunately, I didn't manage to get in to have a chat. I was just perusing while I was out last night with Amanda and Alan and Jane, and I didn't really get a chance. But can I just say thank you for the feedback. It looks like everybody enjoyed the show. It was a banger of a show. And just remind you, it gets repeated tonight at 9 p.m. Greek time, which is 7 p.m. UK time. It gets repeated for a second airing. So if you come and join me, I'll probably be in the chat room for that second broadcast to chat away and also take any requests or any musical suggestions for future shows. But anyway, that's it from me. You have a great day wherever you are. Stay safe, and we'll see how these restrictions play out that are placed upon us here in Greece. Anyway, ta-ra, catch you later. Bye.